I'm Dan.
And I'm Marlis.
And we want to spend a few minutes to share with you what we spent all summer working on so that you can utilize it this year in your math class. So at our site, when we had to vote about which program to adopt, we had a really close vote. It was almost a 50-50 split between sticking with Eureka, Engage, NY or going with Go Math. So when we spent the summer pacing out what we felt was important, I think we have a good blend of what you would recall maybe a computational understanding of math and definitely conceptual understanding of math that's a little bit lacking in Go Math. So if you utilize both programs well, it should work out well for you this year.
Progression document!
So even though we're upper grade teachers, when we took a look at what our specific grade level was working on, we looked at a document called the progression document. And the progression document basically outlines how Common Core math should have been written. If you think of math as a narrative story, no matter what grade level you're in, you should focus on what your part of the story is. And that's how each grade level looked at the progression document. Where in the story of math is your grade level? So if you ever have a chance to take a look at it, you definitely should peek at the progression document. But if you follow the district guide, we've done all the work for you.
And this is also where you'll see that the chapters might be changed around. So you might see chapter 11 coming after chapter 2. So the teachers thought about what the progression document said and which order the chapter should go in.
Pacing structure!
All right, teachers, most important for you is to pay attention to the addendum that we gave you for your pacing. So what's most important at the very top, of course, is your title, your chapter number, and the big idea. Your big idea is your essential question for the whole chapter. After that, you have your mathematical practice, and usually one mathematical practice is called out per chapter. After that, there's a model section that explains the models that each chapter needs. You'll see those models, and those models will not only be in Go Math, but mostly from Eureka. So those are the models you should be using with your students, whether you see them in Go Math or not. Then, following that is your vocabulary. Those vocabulary words are pulled out mostly from Go Math, but then they also come from some extra vocabulary from Eureka. The language frames that you see on the next box are from the Go Math, and they are from the mathematical practice. So this is how your students would answer the mathematical practice that has been called out for your chapter. Below that is the most important items that you need to follow for your pacing guide. So you'll see you have your content standard called out, you'll have their lesson number, and the number of days you'll spend on each lesson. At the top, there's a place that tells you what the lesson is called, and that, for example, this one is use divide by 10 patterns for multi-digit whole numbers. This shows that there's going to be a Eureka lesson involved, and this is where we put the Eureka lessons. If you notice in the lesson box, if it has a star next to it, that means it's enhanced with something from Eureka. So in this case, there's the module, the sprint, concept development, problem set, and your exit ticket all from Eureka. There is no Go Math for that day. Then on the right-hand side, there's a place where it says what materials you're going to need. In this instance, you'll need base 10 place value disk or base 10 blocks. So following all the way through, then there's the rest of the pacing. You'll see that it can alternate between Go Math and it can alternate between some other activities. If there's the star there, that means that it has been enhanced in some other way. Down towards the back of the addendum, you'll notice that there is a Mars task. The Mars tasks are put in about 2/3 of the way in the chapter. Oftentimes these have been given 2 days. One day is for the assessment day, and the second day is looking for some instruction. So usually the Mars task, the way it is you give the test one day, and then you have time to talk about it, to discuss, to look at student work, and to have an overall math talk with your class. These tasks are often aside from what is actually being taught in the chapter, and they stand alone. After that, you'll notice that there's some sort of assessment at the end of the chapter. So there's a performance task, a final chapter assessment, and oftentimes there's some sort of alternate assessments that you can give. Also, you'll see at the very bottom box that there's an instructional days given and how many assessment days there are. And in the final boxes, there's some enrichment activities or some review activities. These often show up, especially if you have a flex day allotted into your chapter.
Say it again.
Mars test!
Okay, a little more specific on that Mars task for you. So the Mars tasks, again, are taught between 2/3 of the way in your chapter. They are there and they are often not related to the concepts. And the reason why that is students need to be able to do any math that is asked of them. So this might have come from previous knowledge, or it might even be something that they have to apply new knowledge to. So just be ready and prepared for those Mars tasks. If they don't seem like they match, that's the way that they're actually supposed to be. So the end of the module assessments, or the chapter assessments, those ones will be related to the concepts that they learned, but the Mars tasks might be a little bit off topic. But this is the reason why we do this, is so that students can be challenged in lots of different ways, and they can also solve mixed problems at any time. And this is also similar to what they might see on the SBAC.
Georgia units.
And you'll also see sometimes involved are some Georgia units. And these Georgia units are very conceptual development types of units. And so these are very important to include because the kids are constantly using models, they're describing their thinking and using explanations. So they're very important. Most of the time they're used for enrichment activities at the end, but oftentimes in some grade levels they're included actually as a lesson for the day. So those aren't something that you need to skip over. They're actually there to really help get the kids to understand what is happening conceptually in the chapter.
What to do next?
So what does that mean for you right now? First and foremost, make sure you have your teacher addendum sent from the district. What you should have received was a binder and this quarter's addendum. Take it out of the packet, put it in this folder, and utilize it for this quarter. The next 3 quarters, you will also receive the addendum for each quarter through the district. As well, make sure you have your teacher's edition of Go Math, and every student should have a student workbook. What you need to do right now is to go over to your secretary and ask them for the student edition addendum. You need to order it by quarter. So each quarter you will have a selection of chapters that you can choose from. If you would like them all, let your secretary know. And you have 2 choices. Do you want them all collated by student packet, or would you like them separated by lessons? You have to make that call as a teacher. But please do that now so that Pubs can get that to you right away.
Thanks, Dan. Now remember, if you have any questions or problems, please email us right away. We'll be happy to answer any questions. And please stick to it. You'll really see a big difference in the way your students perform in math.